apologize.
Hello.
How
Hello.
are y'all doing?
We're great. How about you?
We're
All right,
good.
all right. There we go. There we go. So I was saying, um, I got this coffee. I was asking, do y'all got coffee or do y'all have something that y'all drinking on tonight, or anything? So I'm looking forward to this conversation. But what I would like to do is I would like for you all to introduce yourselves, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're gonna dive into this conversation, mental health, the journey of a woman. All right. So, yeah, I'll go ahead. Miss Serena, you can go. And then Miss Kim. And then Miss Lobby. Y'all can go in that order. All right.
All
Right.
right.
All right.
You got it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Serena Matthews, and I am a breast cancer survivor. I am a wife, a mom of three amazing young men. I am an author, and I'm an HR system specialist by day. And then I am also a real estate agent with At Properties of Texas and Christie's International. And I am just honored and excited about the conversation tonight because I think we're going to talk about some good stuff. So thank you so much for having me. Thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I am Kimberly Young, and just to piggyback, I'm elated to be here, and I'm grateful for this experience to be able to share a part of myself here. Um, I am a mother of two young adults, and now one new grandson addition, added onto this family. Um, By day, I'm an AP operations manager. By evening time throughout the night and over in the night, whenever anyone needs me, I am a certified life coach. I coach divorce care, relationships, career, and how to start new life again after heartbreak, trauma, mental health, anything that people are dealing with and having a hard time to get through, just to let everyone know that they're not going through this. And I say growing through this alone. So that's my little spiel about me. That's all I have, but I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to be a part of this network and meet these beautiful ladies, and we can get this show started.
All right. My name is Lavita Stubbs. I am a full-time property manager, and I guess you can say listening ear. Um, I make things happen, that kind of thing. Um, I appreciate being on the panel, Kevin, because, like I said, mental health is very important. And I feel like it's underappreciated, undervalued, all of that. Like you should think of mental health as much as you think of your blood pressure for your medication and stuff. If you need mental health medication, like yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you all being on here. I appreciate you all's willingness to talk about this important subject. So, what I want to do now, I want you all to just expound a little bit on your mental health journey, what you went through, anything you want to share, and then we'll go from there and continue to have this conversation. So, whoever wants to start first, Kim, I'll start with you.
I was just about to jump in. I kind of figured that's where it was going to go. Um, I'll start by saying this. It's amazing how God works. I had a conversation with my manager today. It was work related, but it also fell from being work related and falling over into my personal life. And since my daughter has had her baby, I've been home for this is my second week I've been home. And when you're at home and you're not so busy and tied up with work or life, your mind wanders. And so in this time that I've been home, just talking with different people, I've learned more about myself. So being a certified life coach, I'm always helping everybody. There's always somebody dumping on me, you know, and it's a great thing because that's my passion. I want to see other people strive and heal. But in that process, I've learned a lot about myself. And then I've learned a lot of things that I've had bottled up inside that I didn't tackle. And when you asked me to be a part of this, I didn't know that it was going to open up wounds that I thought were already healed. I just put Band-Aids over it. And so in our conversation today, I realized that past trauma had not been completely healed, such as parental relationships with my mom and my dad, coming from out of a 26-year relationship / marriage. And then also just the emotional and mental problems that I thought I had gotten over that I really didn't. And I was wondering why I had started having emotional breaks and why tears were just falling. I had no reason why. Well, this has allowed me to take time to really think about it. And a lot of people tend to pack what their emotions are in the back side of their head and not realize that you're just putting a Band-Aid over something that's going to eventually explode onto someone if you don't fix it. And it's a challenge when you don't have someone to talk to, when you are always there for someone else, but you don't have someone there for you. And so every counselor, every coach, every therapist, or every individual period, when you're out there helping someone through their life trauma or situation, trials or tribulations, whatever it may be, and you don't have that same in return, you're just carrying everyone's load, including yours, and you're never tackling things for yourself. And so when you get to a place of being alone to yourself, your mind gets to wondering and those things unfold and you begin to get emotional and say, I'm there for everybody, but no one's there for me. And I need someone to hear me cry. You know, I need a shoulder to lean on. You know, these are the things that I've faced. And, you know, when I say or talk about my parents, you know, when you don't come from a household where you can talk to your parents about anything and they show you that they support you. And so you grow up without that support, but yet you're supporting everybody else, you know? And when you hit those hiccups in life, like a failed marriage or dealing with your children in that aspect, you don't know which way to turn because you've never had that support. You don't know which way to look. So you're trying to fend for yourself and get through those. It creates more headache than anything and more heartache. And you become more broken because you're trying to fix yourself and not know how to go through the proper channels to fix yourself. You don't know who to reach out to. You don't know how to communicate those feelings with everyone or anyone that you trust, because that too is also an issue. You have trust issues because that wasn't a platform that your parents laid out for you on how to do. You know, so when you're in life trying to find your way, you bump your head a lot. But I can say it's okay, you know, to anyone that's out there listening, it's okay to bump your head. It's okay to fall sometimes, as long as you have the sense to get up. But you have to get to a place and understanding that it's okay to cry. It's okay to be broken. You know, diamonds are made out of broken glass. So, you know, you can blossom from your brokenness and your challenges. You can, what you go through and grow through is not for yourself. It's for you to be able to help someone else get through that situation. You know, I see that, you know, things they are looking up for me. And the fact that this small portion of my life, I see this is the small thing that I need to get over, and being a part of this platform to be able to not only speak on my part, but hear these other ladies speak on the things that they've gone through and they're growing through. It's something that I'm sure that when I finish this platform tonight, I can walk away with something.
Amen. Amen. Okay. All right. Miss Serena.
Yes. I don't even know like where to start, bro.
That's how I
Like
feel.
where to start. I feel like I have so much to share, but I don't want to
Right.
have all night. Well, I don't, but thank you for sharing your story and just those nuggets that you just shared. I'm gonna piggyback off of that because I believe, well, I will speak for myself. There was a time where I felt like I knew my purpose and I knew that I was created for a purpose. And I knew that my purpose was to help others. But there was a time where I felt like I couldn't help others because I was hurting and broken myself. And for whoever's listening, you can still help people even in your brokenness.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, as you're helping others, you start to heal yourself and it does you some good. And it's all, we're talking about mental health. It is a mindset, but it's not as easy for everyone as it seems. And so in that, right, knowing that it's not easy, knowing that there's going to be some challenges and, everybody say, you got to push through. Oh, you're going to make it. Oh, you got this, girl. Like you can, yeah, that's good and great. But it's also good and great to know that, like, man, like, I don't feel like I got it. Like, I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like my foot is slipping, right? Like, it's okay to own up to that, to realize that, and it's okay to ask for help. So I grew up, in a household where I won't even say that it was actually said to me like what goes in this house, what goes on in this house stays in this house. That was never like actually said to me, right?
It's understood.
It was, but exactly, right? It was understood. Additionally, my parents didn't talk to me a lot, like have those like conversations. It was like, adults had their conversation, the children had their conversation, and you weren't allowed to like mix the two, and not necessarily saying mix the two, but the conversations I feel like could have and would have helped, right? Like in the future. But talk to me on my level. Like you don't have to talk to me like, you're talking to your friend, but talk to me on my level, right? So and we learn from like experiences, right? We've all had our own share of experiences and our own journeys. And I'm a mental health advocate, and I truly believe that our children have their own set of mental health challenges. It just looks different. It looks different, but they still have their own set of mental health challenges. And I went there because I was talking about, my mom and dad not necessarily having those like conversations. But each generation we evolve, right? Each generation evolves. And I feel like, their generation did better than their parents' generation. And I feel like it's my time to do something different or better than they did. So I'm very intentional on trying to talk to my kids and ask them questions and ask them about their day, but getting those details, not just, hey, how did it go today? Like, not just like on the surface, but really asking those questions on what happened today, what made you happy, what made you sad, like those types of questions. And I want them to know that they can come to mommy and daddy when they have an issue or when they're feeling some type of way and they don't even really understand what they're feeling. But come to us and let us know. Let's talk through it, right? Let's work through it together. And I was in a really deep, dark place a couple years ago. I was depressed, and I knew about mental health, and I was even a psych major. Um, but there was something in me that was worried about what other people would think or say about me going to get the help that I needed. Even though I knew I needed the help, I'm being really transparent right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I knew I needed the help, I was worried about how others would perceive me going to get the help that I needed. Now, we don't sit up here and think about what people gonna say when we have to go and get a stent put in because our arteries are clogged. We just go to the doctor. We let the doctor do what they have to do to fix it, right? It's a no-brainer. And we have to get to that place where we value our mental health and the treatment for it in the same way. And I know I kind of went like a little bit everywhere.
No, you good. You good.
Yeah,
Good.
good.
Right on the money.
For real.
But we have to get to that place. I do feel like we are talking about it more. But I do still think we have a long way to go as far as what we're doing about it, and having it equal to healthcare.
Right.
Mental health care and medical health care. We still have a long way to go.
Absolutely.
But yes, I have journeyed through that deep, dark depression. I have journeyed through postpartum depression. And it's a real thing.
It is.
Postpartum depression is a real thing. Moms, women, it's a real thing. And a lot of times we feel bad about how we feel until we hear about somebody else like going through it. And that's why we need to talk more, y'all. That's why we need to talk more and get together and get on platforms such as, Coffee and Conversations and have this conversation.
Absolutely.
Because just like Kevin said, something here that we say can help somebody that is watching, that is listening, that is tuning in. And that's really what it's all about. But I know that I was placed here on purpose, for a purpose. I know I survived breast cancer on purpose, for a purpose. And that's to share my story. I truly believe that, me being depressed, it didn't help, the situation. I'm not saying that it caused the breast cancer. I am saying that I do believe that it has something to do with it. So we have to take care of our mental space, y'all. We got to do it. We can't rely on nobody else to do it. We got to do it ourselves. Look, I'm wearing this shirt, peace mode.
Well,
that's what it's all about. Right?
Come on, Pete.
Right?
Come on,
Nobody
Pete.
take that from you. We got the power to create it. We have to stay in that vein. A lot of people talking about my peace. Let's not let this be a trend or a fad that fades.
Absolutely.
Let's
Amen.
continue to make mental health and obtaining real, true peace. God left us the gift of peace.
Oh,
He
yeah.
left it for us. It's there. We all got it. It's a gift. Let's not let that fade. So I'm gonna end there with my tidbit.
That was a word in itself. I was like,
It really was.
Go ahead.
How I'm supposed to come back from that, Kevin? How I'm supposed to follow that?
You can follow it. Look, I'm ready to chime in already because she has some points.
You can follow and you can say what's on your heart.
Okay.
And just say what you need to say. But the floor is yours, Mel.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go way back.
Okay, come on.
Yeah, way back.
Way back. Come on.
Picture it. Cambridge, Georgia. 1980s, right?
Okay.
I'm growing up, country life. We had pigs, we had cows, we had chickens, the whole shebang with the country thing, right? So growing up, we didn't go see counselors and stuff like that. we pretty much had to either talk amongst each other, cousins and family members that are around our age, or, you know, friends once we went to school and stuff like that. So it's like we grow up and we have these emotions and we wonder little certain things, like you want to ask these questions like, why does my cousin call their mom and dad by their first name? And I mean, it's just like stuff like that. But okay, fast forward, leave the country town, move to the city. You know, it's hard moving and relocating and meeting new people, doing new things. So you kind of got to find your feel for what you're supposed to do. And from 2000 to 2022, some of everything: law enforcement, hotel work, repair shops, like the whole everything. So I work with a lot of people. I'm gonna just say that. A lot of different type of people with different issues. And, you know, even working at the jail, I don't know why they put me on the mental health floor for 3-4 years. Like, but that was my home. That was where I worked. And it didn't take long for me to, you know, get my feel for the inmates, and they knew I didn't play. So, you know, it worked out in everybody's favor. But it allowed me to see them on a more daily basis and know their actions and what triggers them and stuff like that, to know, okay, they've had this going on in their life. Maybe that's why they are so cold and trying to accept people or accept any type of help. A lot of it, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about the whole medication with the mental health stuff, but if it's necessary, I feel like there's a more natural way, more so than like, I don't know what the mental health drugs are, like, you know, they try to put me on something, but I'm not on any mental health medications. But okay, let me wrap it up.
You good? You good?
No, because I'll babble about some other stuff and happiness and all of that, but at the end of the day, like Kimberly said, you have to protect your peace. Because no, Serena, I'm sorry. I'm getting y'all mixed up. I'm sorry. But you have to protect your peace. Like, if you know for a fact, if you go around certain people, that they're going to trigger you and just have you like in a bad headspace for the rest of that day, like, don't even put yourself in that situation.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
especially being grown is different when you're a child and you have no other choice but to stay in that environment. But you can walk away, you can drive away, you can Uber away.
Come on, Uber. Come
Yeah.
on, Uber.
Yeah.
Come on, Uber. Okay. So I appreciate you all um just giving, you know, a synopsis of your journey when it came to mental health. And so I was jotting down some things that you all were saying. So let's start this conversation. So Kim said something that I think is very vital when it comes to mental health, and that is past hurt. Your past hurt is something that um, if you don't deal with it, it will come back and you will have to deal with it. But sometimes it leads to depression, it leads to anxiety, it leads to, you know, being suicidal, it leads to all of that. So how do you all, if you've had to face past hurt, what have you all done to get past it, or are you still dealing with it? I want to know from you all.
So I know that Serena had mentioned when it came to children, right? How children battle with mental health, they deal with it different. Some don't know how to communicate and speak on those things. And I'm speaking on this from personal experience. You know, I tell my children, hey, when I'm asked to speak or talk about something, be transparent. So for watching my child go through and grow through that process, um, which was past hurt. You know, when we went and when we went through the divorce, that we all endured some type of pain from. And my daughter got to a place to where she closed herself off into a room when you would ask questions. And I like when you said, Serena, you have to ask those digging questions. That taught me how to ask digging questions, but not to a point to make them pull away and not want to communicate, but more so want to communicate. Because I learned with just asking surface questions, they give you that surface answer, but you learn so much when you see them hurting, or you realize when they walk up front and they have blood on their pants that they're cutting themselves because of something that they don't know how to express. And you want to help them through that. You've never experienced it. So for me, I had to help myself help her to learn how to talk, because growing up in my household, we didn't communicate like Lavi said. We don't communicate. You stay in a child's place. So I wanted to have a different place for her in our household and ask her, hey, what caused this? Why do you feel that this is necessary? What can I do to help you get through this so that this is not what you result to? I bought her a book, a journal, because for me, I had to start journaling. I had to get to a quiet place in my room to myself. Music is my peace. And that's my self-care, self-love, is listening to my music, whether it be old school, slow jam, something that just takes my mind off of everything for the moment so I can focus. And I journal. And then once I'm finished with my journal, I flip to my meditation side and I have to pray. And that's what's gotten me through. And I even look at my daughter now, because, Serena spoke on postpartum depression. I'm trying to keep her from going there. She's a new mom. And knowing what she has had to deal with in the past, I want to make sure that it's completely fixed and she's completely healed. So I'm telling her now, pray. You can pray with your baby now. And make sure that whatever you're feeling, you talk to me about it. Don't just sit and cry about it, because you're crying about it, you're going to cry yourself into a low place. And just know that you have that open outlet. So I'm thankful that we've gone through what we've gone through, because we've grown to a place to know how to communicate these things. And a lot of people aren't aware that there are different ways to handle these issues. You can write about it. You can go to yourself. My kids thought I was crazy for a point, because I'd be in my closet talking to myself. I would talk it out. Whether I had somebody listen to me or not, I would talk it out. I had to get it off of my chest. So these are different ways that we have handled it in our household to help us to grow more.
Amen. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah. I love music. So, Kimberly, I do share that love, and music has gotten me through. Writing has gotten me through. I mean, I wrote a book, going through my breast cancer journey, going through the treatment, and it was so therapeutic for me to write the book. But journaling, as well, praying and just staying at the feet of Jesus, It's okay to pray and go to counseling. I really truly believe that. That's not my saying, but I love it. And it's okay. It's okay to do that. God never intended us for us to go through life alone, right? So He gave us family, He gave us friends, He gave us community to get through those like tough times. And so, find your circle. Find your circle, and then what are your passions? What do you like? Try to get back to those things. And if you don't know, because maybe it's changed, right? Because maybe you haven't been focused on what your passions are or have been, right? Then that's a good time to try to just learn who you are again, right? Learn what brings you joy again, and tap into that. But a lot of times, even in our circles, even within our circles, we feel like, I don't think I can share that. right?
Mm.
Honestly, like you've known these people, 20 years, and you like, I don't think I can do it, right? Um, and so when I say find your circle, when you're feeling down, find those trusted friends,
Mhm.
those trusted family members,
Mhm.
um, and let them know. Because sometimes we have to put a disclaimer out there before we go, throwing up everything, right? Because sometimes people are just not ready. But set the stage, set the tone, and have the conversation. And you might be surprised on the reaction that you receive. You might even be surprised on information that you receive because you opened up. You might create a safe space for them to open up and for them to, release a burden that they've been carrying. So, yeah.
I like that. Find your circle.
Mhm.
I like that because that's a challenge with most people. I also tell people to find your you, and in finding your circle, you got to know who you are,
Yeah.
what you're willing to accept and not accept. So in finding your circle, you have to find your you. And that's how you begin to heal you.
Yes.
Mm. Okay. Mrs. Stubbs, you got anything you want to say?
Yes, I would like to add something. I think keeping a journal is awesome. That is a good way to write down your thoughts, so you don't have to worry about getting interrupted. And they're your thoughts. You can put them in your words. And the music thing, yeah, I love me some music. I switch it up. Sometimes I'll even listen to. It's this station on Pandora where it just plays like piano music, so it's kind of like instrumental to my thoughts, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely love music.
and when y'all talk about music, I'm sure I'm not the only one who probably got a playlist. You can hear Kirk Franklin, and then you turn right back around and you listen to some Master P or Tupac. Well, it's whatever the mood is at that
Yeah.
point that you need to get your mind focused. And music is a big part for me. I listen to music every day, all day. Even when I'm at work, I have something going on, music playing. So today, I was like, man, let me put on some jazz. So jazz was playing in my office all day. It's relaxing. It helps you get
Mhm.
out of the norm of what you're doing, and what's going on. And so I like to go back to something that Serena said earlier. And I know that Serena and I go to the same church, and our pastor has said this plenty of times. And Serena said it when she said, you're broken yourself, but you're helping people while
Mhm.
you're broken. And that's the hardest thing. And I talked about this on the first conversation, talking about how is it that someone who's broken can be able to help somebody else, and still you're going through what you're going through, and you're like, God, how is it that I'm still I'm about to lose my mind, I'm depressed, I'm over here, don't know what tomorrow's gonna look like, I'm over here just struggling, but at the end of the day, my healing comes from being able to help somebody else.
Mhm.
And you don't realize it until you're in it and you're in the thick of it, and you're like, man, I am actually healing from this. I tell people this this actual podcast is therapy for me. And I didn't realize it until somebody brought it to my attention and said, this is therapy for you, Kevin. And so when we talk about, when Serena said the whole thing about being broken, even while you're broken and being able to help somebody else, what are your takes on that? Like, have you had to do that yourself? Have you, and how did that feel for you, and where did it take you on that journey?
Like these questions are amazing. I can jump in at any time on any question because it's it's questions and topics on things that I've dealt with. So growing through my divorce, that's when I learned what my purpose was, because I had to be quiet more. I had to focus more and meditate more, because I didn't want to be in a dark place where I see when people, are going through divorce and how broken they are. They cry every day. They shut themselves off. I didn't want to be that person. And so when I realized that my marriage was over, I began to talk to God and ask him to take my heart back, because I had given my heart to someone that didn't need it. And my heart was not ever supposed to leave his hand.
That's deep.
And because my heart was taken from the man who protects it the most and given to someone that did whatever he wanted with it, I was hurt and I was broken, but I wasn't torn to pieces.
Say that again, Kim. Say that again. Say that again.
I was broken and I was hurt, but I wasn't torn to pieces. And so in that, and on that journey, I learned that in order to heal, I had to go to the person who created me. And he created me with a purpose. And his hurt was more painful than what hurt I felt or thought I was growing through. And so I learned that in that process, I had to help people get through this so they won't be torn to pieces. And that's why my main focus in life coaching is divorce care. And I started teaching divorce care in 2020. And I've seen so many people heal from that. And in that process of hearing everybody else's story, when I tell you sitting in class, I would break down into tears because I would find out something new about me that I didn't realize. That subliminal hurt in the back of my mind that I packed away, when they would tell their story or tell what they were going through and growing through and crying, I find tears rolling down my face. And I'm like, dang, I didn't realize that. Well, dang, did I actually do this? Well, should I have done that? Well, he did this to me and I accepted it. I thought it was what was supposed to happen. And well, I have to be accountable for allowing certain things to happen that I shouldn't have, that I should have spoke up on, but I didn't. So in growing, and that's why I say all the time, even in my class, I say, I'm not going through this process. I'm growing through it, because when you go through the motions, it's a repeated cycle. But when you grow through the process, you learn better, you do better. Now you can help someone else.
Amen. Y'all preaching tonight. I'm just saying, y'all giving some word tonight. I need my fan, and I need something to go ahead and say preach, because y'all preaching tonight. So do y'all thing, but go ahead. Anybody else want to expound on it?
No, I just
I went through COVID like shortly after Christmas. So I went into the New Year quarantined, and I kind of went through some stuff when I was quarantined, because the quarantine time was like 10, 14 days. And, I didn't even step outside. I didn't want to contaminate anyone else. Like, I was serious. Like, it was a head thing for me. So the whole time I'm inside, I'm thinking, like, all I'm thinking about is stuff that I used to always think about, but now I'm thinking about it harder. I'm thinking about it harder. So eventually I got to a better space, and I just had to work on me. Like you said, you have to work on you. You can't go expect somebody else to love you or care for you when, you don't give two farts about yourself. So you have to love yourself and definitely try to give people the benefit of the doubt, because not everybody was raised the same way. Some people were raised on love. Some people were raised on survival. Some people, raised on both, but that's rare. But if you were raised on love, then you genuinely think that when someone does something for you, it's done from the heart, or it's done without any kind of, okay, I'm going to get this back, or, I'll get my, like that.
Yeah.
But, survival, it's like out for me. Like, whatever we doing, as long as I'm on top or I win, I'm down for whatever.
Right.
And back to what you were saying, you got to choose your circles. You can't just be around a bunch of negative people doing negative things. If you want to grow, you got to grow with people that are growing, as opposed to just being with people that are at a standstill. Like positive thinking always helps.
Absolutely.
Always helps.
Amen. So we can talk forever because there's so many things to unpack. Um, somebody said earlier, one of you talked about putting a band-aid on something, and I think that's a big thing. Like a lot of people put band-aids on past hurt. A lot of people put band-aids on like I don't want to deal with this right now. But the thing is, and I tell people my story. I put a band-aid on past hurt, and I acted out on it instead of dealing with it because I didn't want to talk about it, because I didn't want to be able to trust anybody to talk about it. And that's the biggest thing. When we put a band-aid on something, it will come back up. It's just that's why it's a band-aid. It's there to just cover up for a minute, but eventually it's going to have to be taken off. And when it's taken off, now you see the scar. So it's like, how do you heal from that scar that's already there? So I want you all to just, whoever wants to, take this and just explain in your own way um, when it comes to that of just putting a band-aid on it. Like, how have you all endured that? Have you endured that? And what steps did you take to overcome that?
Hmm, that's good. I think, like you were talking about the Band-Aid, um, just like with a Band-Aid, you have to take it off the wound, um, for the wound to breathe and heal. And so breathe life into your pain.
Mm,
That is what I would like to tell anybody who's going through anything, is to breathe life into your pain. And how do you do that? Number one, um, you always hear like, don't let that, don't let it have power over you. Well, sometimes that's hard when you're in it, right? When you're like stuck in the middle and like you can barely like get out the bed and like wash your face and brush your teeth. Like,
Mhm.
Tell it now.
when you take the band-aid off and you breathe life into your pain, that is when you start to heal. Now, how do you necessarily do that? It takes a lot of prayer, it takes a lot of faith, and it takes you physically envisioning yourself in a better place. Um, so when you're like in the dark, right? You're sitting there in the dark. The hope comes from knowing that there's something better at the other end, right? There's something better at the end of the tunnel. There's something better outside of these four walls beyond this door. Which brings me to something else. A lot of times when we are going through our darkest moments, we don't want to get out.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck and we're stagnant. We don't want anybody to see the hurt and the pain on our face because sometimes we aren't that great at disguising it. Um, but the people that see the hurt and the pain on your face and say something, when I talk about your circle, that's your circle.
amen.
Right.
When they care so much about you, where they notice and they recognize a difference and they
Mm-hmm.
say something,
Mm,
Mhm.
don't hate them, love them, because that's
mm,
what they doing. They're showing love to you because they recognize that something is not quite right.
Yes.
mm,
And so from that place, removing the band-aid, envisioning yourself healed on the other side, envisioning yourself coming up out of the darkness. You've got to see it for yourself. And knowing what God says about you.
Absolutely.
Knowing what God says about you. For us to live in darkness, God made light. God said, let there be light.
Yes.
Well-
God's light is living in you. Like, know that for a fact, right? So it's very hard for us when we are in it. But having people around us and speaking life into us, and noticing those differences and helping to bring us out, it helps, y'all. We can't do it on our own. And that's also what I want to tell the people. We can't do it on our own.
Absolutely.
We cannot. So yes, breathe life into your pain. Take the Band-Aid off and breathe life into your pain.
So before anybody else says anything, so you said something, and I continue to say it on every conversation, that they have to see you, and you said they have to see you, and that's the biggest thing, because if a person truly knows you, your circle, if they truly know who you are, they will see you. They will see past, like I said, my defense word was, I'm good. So when I told somebody and they say, hey, Kevin, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. But that was me basically saying I'm not good. But I'm saying I'm good so you would leave me alone, because I don't want you to get in my business. I don't want you to talk to me, because I don't want you to know what's going on with me, because one, you're probably going to judge me. You're probably going to look at me wrong. You're probably not going to want to deal with me, because mental health is real. And sometimes people don't want to face their own self and look in the mirror and say that I have a problem as well. So the thing is, when we talk about this and we say, hey, you're seeing me, and I want everybody to understand this. When I say you're seeing me, meaning that you're seeing all of me. You're seeing the hurt, you're seeing the pain, you're seeing past what others who, if I walked in a room, they just will see Kevin Smith. But somebody who really knows me will see Kevin R. Smith and know that something's going on. I'm not acting the way that I'm supposed to, like I'm used to acting. Something's wrong. And if someone can come up and just say, hey, I know something's going on with you. I'm not like everybody else, but something's going on with you. Talk to me or talk to somebody else. And I think that's the biggest thing. So thank you, Serena, for saying that, because I say that a lot, because if someone just sees you, they will be able to really understand, and people will be able to understand, and it might stop someone from saying, I want to kill myself. It might stop someone from wanting to cut on themselves or whatever, anything that will hurt themselves. But if it just takes one person to say that I see you. All right. I'm sorry. That's big for me, because I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't say and a lot of people don't talk about. But if someone sees you for you and they know you, it helps really tremendously. So anybody else want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that, Kevin and Serena, as far as seeing that person. I usually tell people in my social club, know my heart. When you know me, you know my heart. And when you know my heart, you know my actions. And so that goes along with, when you see me, see me. And again, that also falls back into what Serena said on your circle. To piggyback on that Band-Aid, when you look at a cut, you cut yourself, you scrape your arm, your leg, your knee, something, and you put a Band-Aid over it. Just think about that for a moment. As long as that Band-Aid is over it, it sweats. It becomes soggy. So you look at that sweat and that sogginess, you're soaking your tears, right? And it's just constantly getting in that wound, and you still feel the pain of that scar under that Band-Aid. So you're just covering it up so it won't be visible to you, but it doesn't mean that it's not visible to someone that sees you or is not visible to being realistic hurt, you know? And so when you take that Band-Aid off, if you notice it's discolored, and you need that, like Serena said, you need that air, that fresh air to breathe, to heal. And that's where that self-care, self-love. So in order to heal that scar, you have to get the proper ointments to put on it. That's the same thing you have to do in life. You have to grab the proper ointments to heal your brokenness in life, be it your spiritual word, like we said, be it your journaling, be it your music, be it that circle. You need that ointment to heal yourself and grow from this experience. And Kevin, you said it best, you know, it's real. And when you get to a place in life where you're now faced with dealing with it, but you weren't mentally prepared to deal with it, it seems like it makes it worse, and that tunnel gets darker, and you feel like you're crawling out of it, but you're just scraping the walls, and you're just clawing, and you're tearing up your nail bed, trying to crawl out of a place that you have not taken the time to properly lay the foundation to help dig yourself out. So when you look at that Band-Aid and you look at that scar, it's like looking at a dark hole, and you're surrounded by all this dirt, and you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get out, right? But when you take that time to prep your mind for yourself to grow out of that situation, you start to notice all the things around you to help you to grow through that process. In that dark hole, you notice all of this dirt surrounding you. So you pull from the bottom dirt, pack it under your feet. You get to climb a little bit higher. You pull some out of this way and you pack it under your feet, and you can climb a little bit higher. Sometimes we are in these situations where we are just looking for other people to help us out of this situation, when the answer lies within you. Because nobody knows what you're growing through but you.
Well,
no one knows your root cause but you. You know, those of us that, and that's for anybody that's listening, those of us that are in the corporate America world, you know, you hear the companies talk about, let's find the root cause so we can fix this issue and we can move forward. This is how the company continues to grow. Well, that pertains to life, to self. You have to find the root cause to your mental health issue, to whatever trial or tribulation or your brokenness that you're growing through. When you find that root cause, and you may have to, like Lavi said, reach back to 1980 or 1977 or whatever year you were born when it first started. You got to reach way back to see, did my hurt start there? You know, did it start back at home where I couldn't get in those adult conversations, but what they talked about, I was going through at that young age and I didn't know how to express it, but I had to live through it. So I just learned at a young age how to pack that hurt back. And every time somebody hurt me, my coping mechanism was just packing it back. Well, now I want something great for myself, whether it be my own business, whether it be my own family, whether it be whatever it is that you're trying, my own podcast, you know, whatever it is, writing a book, you know, how do I get past what my root situation is if I don't tackle it myself? I have to be willing to face that darkness so that like Serena said, God said, let there be light. We're supposed to walk with a natural light. How can we walk in that light if we're afraid of our own darkness?
That's a word. Okay. Lavita, anything you want to say on this?
I mean, I used to be this old bubbly, bippity boppity, like I was Sinclair. That was my personality. That's how, but you know, life and the things that life has for you and the stuff that you go through and stuff, it kind of brings you down sometimes, but you just have to, everything can have a positive spin and things can always be worse. So that's what gets me through the day. And, you know, I have my conversations throughout the day as well, and give my gratitude throughout the day as well. So yeah, as far as the band-aid and the wounds and stuff, I feel like, people go through things and it takes time for them to get past what they go through.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can tell you how long it's going to take for you to get past what it is that you're going through, especially if they've never been through it.
Mm.
Like, you can't tell me how long it's going to take me to get past my divorce or when I should start dating again because you've never been married or divorced. So a lot of times people want to put in their 2 cents when they have no idea what you are going through. They cannot empathize, they can only sympathize.
Yeah.
So you just have to take people for what they come at you with, and try to be humble and diplomatic at the same time, but don't let them steal your joy and your happiness.
Well, say that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're about to wrap up, but I want to say this. You know, again, ladies, I appreciate you all coming on and talking about this. There's so much stuff that we can talk about when it comes to mental health. There's, different things that we can talk about. But the biggest thing that I want everyone to understand is that um, everyone deals with mental health differently, and it's how they deal with it is how you move on. If you don't want to deal with it, it's going to stay how it is. If you don't want to deal with the fact that you were molested, if you don't want to deal with the fact that you have a problem with a parent, if you don't want to deal with the fact that there's something going on, if you don't, like somebody talked about, if you don't get to the root cause of what's going on, you're going to stay in whatever is going on. And I had to learn that. I had to understand that I have to talk. Do I want to talk to everybody about my problems? No. Do I want everybody to know that I had a problem going on? No. And I think that's the thing. And it's more so in men. Women would definitely talk. Hey, y'all will talk. Y'all would be like, girl, I need to talk to you. Or hey, sis, hey, can we go out and talk? But I know on the man side, as a man, we don't want to talk. We don't want to talk. We don't want to open up. And so um, I just think that this is going to be an ongoing topic, discussion, conversation of how we can continue to open up, talk about what needs to be talked about so we can move past. So many people hurt and so many people go through and so many people deal with mental health and they don't know how to come back from it. You can come back from it. We're all living witnesses that we can come back from mental health. We can come back from past hurt. We can come back from divorce. We can come back, like Serena, come back from being healed of cancer. Like you can come back, but the thing is, you have to deal with it and you have to face it. Some people don't want to face it because they don't want to deal with what comes with that. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be days you don't want to get out the bed. I remember there were days I didn't want to get out the bed. I remember when my mom passed, it was the hardest thing for me because I did not want to feel like, man, like this is it for me. But I remember my brother coming and just surprising me, and that uplifted me. And I know he's probably watching and he probably didn't know that, but that helped me because I was such in a dark place. But you never know, just the comfort of someone being there. They don't have to say a word, but just the comfort of someone being there to help you be able to move past whatever's going on is a big help. So ladies, again, I thank you. This is an ongoing subject and I appreciate it. So last words for you all, anything you want to say to the viewers, anybody who's going to watch this. I thank you all for coming on my podcast. But any last thoughts that you all want to say?
Last thoughts from me is Joshua 1:9. Be strong and be courageous. God grants you grace and mercy. His grace and mercy is sufficient. So grant yourself that when you're trying to heal yourself from whatever brokenness you are growing through. You are amazing and you can do this. And always know that you are not alone. Somebody else has gone through or is going and growing through what you're in the midst of right now. There is help out there and it is available.
I think Kimberly said it best.
Well, I just want to say stress is linked to the immune system, and work on your mental health, work on your peace, work on what keeps you calm, because stressing out and worrying about stuff, it'll have you in the hospital, in the grave. It'll have you real bad.
Serena?
That was good. Just to piggyback off of what they said, you know, and Lavi she said something that kind of triggered a thought that I had when I talked about, you know, the breast cancer and how the stress and the depression, I feel like had a lot to do with it. When you don't deal with those stressors and you don't deal with those traumas, and you're covering it up, it does eat away on the inside. Then you have all these other issues that kind of surface. And so Lavi hit it. You want to deal with those things because you deserve to live, like you deserve life, and you deserve joy, and you deserve peace. And Kimberly said, be courageous, be brave. If you're going through something, it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage. You're going to have to be brave. But in that, know that you deserve better.
Absolutely.
Well, again, ladies, I appreciate you all. I am grateful for you all. I'm grateful for you all being
Thank you,
transparent.
Kevin.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate y'all being transparent. Before we go, I do want to say this. Next week, it was supposed to be this week, but I had to do some shuffling. But next week, I am looking forward to next week. If you have teens, if you have kids, please have them watch this show podcast on next week, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am going to have some phenomenal teens, and we're going to talk about mental health with teens. And we're going to get to something that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's a sensitive issue and they don't want their teens or their children to be talking about this because they don't want to deal with the things that's going on. But I found some teens that are willing and wanting to talk about this. So I cannot wait. Join us next week. And then I know someone's saying, well, you got the women, you got the kids. What about the men? So in 2 weeks, I will be doing the conversation with men. I got some great men that's going to come on. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to unpack that because that is a big issue in mental health, is that men do not talk about mental health enough. So I cannot wait for that to be talked about. And I did extend this season. It's so much to talk about. I had to extend it twice because it just kept saying, okay, God kept saying, okay, you need to talk about this. You need to talk about this. So the season will end when God says that the season will end for season 1, talking about mental health. So I'll let you know when season 1 ends, but we're going to continue to talk about this and unpack it. And the last thing I would say, whether it's morning, afternoon, or late at night, a little cup of Joe and a conversation can get you right. I am Kevin Smith. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.